Hello, dear students. Welcome to English online classes for class 12 English, subject English, conducted by Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangathan, Jabalpur region. I am extremely thankful to KVSRO Jabalpur for organizing these online classes to benefit students sitting at home. Today I have brought for you video lesson 2 of English textbook Flamingos, chapter number 3, Deep Water, that has been written by William Douglas. If you have not been able to watch video lesson 1 of this chapter, I have given a link in the description box. Here goes the video lesson 2. Now let's quickly warm up. We all have heard about different kinds of phobias or fears. Normally what do people fear from? What are their phobias? So in the first lesson I had discussed that there are different kinds of fears, like fear from darkness, fear of loneliness, fear of failures, fear of height, fear of water, fear of swimming, fear of attempting examinations, fear of a particular subject. Now, how to overcome these fears is a big question. Life is not a bed of roses. There are different challenges that we have to meet in life, and fear is one of them. So, we have to learn to overcome them through willpower, determination, confidence, persistence, perseverance, diligence, and so many other life skills that we acquire through experience. Now, what would be the feeling after overcoming the fears? It would be like a victory after a war. Quick recapitulation of video lesson 1 of Deep Water. William Douglas has taken this excerpt, Deep Water, from his own autobiography of Men and Mountains. The first and the second page of the story tell us that when he was small, he decided to learn to swim at the YMCA pool because it offered a good opportunity. It was safe, it was safely built. It was built at Yakima River. The slope was gradual. But he had an aversion from water from the very beginning of his life, because at the age of 3 or 4, when he had gone for surfing on the beach of California with his father, an incident had happened in which he had been engulfed under a big wave, and from then onward he had an aversion to water. So when at the age of 10 or 11 he went for swimming at the YMCA pool, the old fears were revived. Gradually he was getting over fears with the help of water wings and with the help of imitating other boys. A few days had passed. He was slowly gaining confidence. He had not yet learned any tactics of swimming, when one day he was alone at the swimming pool. Suddenly a big bully of a boy, strong boy, only for fun, picked up William Douglas, who was just 10 or 11-year-old child, and threw him towards the deepest end of the pool. Now this deepest end of the pool was around 9 feet. The boy was shocked, he was unprepared, but then he started planning strategies how to save himself. He planned that as soon as his feet would touch the bottom of the pool, he would make a jump, come up, and then he would wade or paddle to the edge of the pool. But 9 feet seemed like 90. His lungs were full of water because in his shock, in his fear, he swallowed a lot of water. But then when he hit the bottom, he gathered strength, made a jump, came up very slowly. His eyes could see only water all around. He started growing panicky. His lungs started suffocating due to lack of oxygen. He cried, He shrieked, but no sound came out. He swallowed more and more water and started choking. When he went down water the second time, his legs were almost paralyzed and rigid. They refused to obey his command. A great force was pulling him under water. Slowly, he was growing dizzy. That means his senses were fading. He was going down endlessly, and then stark terror means fear, dreadful fear surrounded him. He tried to call for help, but nothing happened. He sucked for air, but he got nothing but water. And then when he went down the third time, he felt that all efforts ceased. Suddenly he felt relaxed. It was because his senses were going weak. He was going towards unconsciousness. He felt he wanted to sleep in his mother's arms. All fear and panic vanished and he felt peaceful. He crossed to oblivion. Oblivion means a world of forgetfulness, and then slowly the curtain of life fell. That means he almost died. After this, he did not remember anything, but luckily he was saved. And when he woke up, he found himself lying upside down on his stomach beside the pool. He was vomiting. People were shouting at the boy who had thrown him, but that boy said that he was only having fun. He was only playing a prank. He did not mean to harm or kill the boy. But the narrator had nearly died. Now we go on to page number 27 of the text, this portion. Several hours later, beside this box, I walked home. So, after many hours, William Douglas, when he felt a little strong, though he was weak till now, his body was shivering and trembling, he walked home. And when he reached home, he only lay on his bed. He kept on crying all the day. He couldn't eat food that evening. And for many days, this fear of water, this memory of drowning kept on haunting his mind, and he was physically, emotionally, mentally upset. Even a little strain, a little stress, a little tension would make him feel weak in the stomach and in his knees. His limbs, his muscles, they would almost get paralyzed and he would start shivering. He would be unable to stand. This was the effect of the misadventure on the mind of the boy Douglas. So there would be a question that how did the misadventure at the YMCA pool affect William Douglas and his routine life? So he felt weak, he would tremble, he kept on crying for days. Then on that day he couldn't even eat food. The fear kept on haunting his mind for many days. Whenever he would remember the incident, he would get physically, mentally, emotionally upset. Even slightest strain and tension would make him stressed. His knees would start wobbling. He would not be able to stand, and he would feel sick in the stomach. That means he would feel like nausea. He would feel like vomiting. After this incident, the author says, I never went back to the pool. I feared water. I avoided it whenever I could. So this is the long-lasting impact of this accident or misadventure on his life. After this incident or accident, he never went back to the pool. He developed a phobia of water and he avoided water whenever he could. That means he tried to avoid water as much as he could. So his normal life was affected. After this, the narrator says that when he grew up, he came to know the water of the cascades. What are cascades? Falling water. You can compare them to waterfalls. When you see falling water, it attracts you, it tempts you, you want to go near it, and sometimes you also want to go in it. Especially youngsters, when they see falling water, they want to have adventure. They want to have fun in falling water. So he wanted to go into it. Since he lived near the Yakima River, he was also familiar with activities like fishing, boating, canoeing, rafting, surfing, swimming, wading, paddling. So, but at the sight of water, his body would start shivering and his legs would become paralyzed. A horror that would freeze his body, that would freeze his limbs. It would take a grip of his heart, and he started feeling weak. So this fear of water became a handicap for his life. So the last paragraph of page number 27. When William came to know the waterfalls, he wanted to go into it. Whenever he went for swimming, whenever he tried to swim, this is after many years of the misadventure. Now he is a young, mature boy. So he would sometimes try to go for swimming in different rivers like Titan, Bumping Lake, Warm Lake, or the Goat Rocks. The old fear would return. The memories of the misadventure would return, and his heart would be gripped by horror and terror. His limbs, his muscles, they would be paralyzed. They would become rigid. They would become frozen with fear, and they refused to obey his command. So it became a handicap. Handicap means a weakness that cannot be easily overcome. And he was deprived of. Deprived of means he could not enjoy canoeing, boating, swimming, fishing, any kind of water sport or water activity he could enjoy. This is a picture of canoeing. You can see. This is surfing. There is a surfing board, and there are waters, especially in rivers and seas. You can go for surfing. This is scuba diving. So he couldn't enjoy any kind of water activity. So he had to grow up with fear. Whenever he would go for boating trips in lakes in the Maine region, New Hampshire, Deschutes, Metolius, Columbia, Bumping Lake, where there were different varieties of fish, salmon, bass, trout, the fear would always follow him. So his fishing trips, boating trips, all were destroyed due to fear. So his life became a hell without any adventure, without any excitement. Now we come to page number 28. The author says that he tried to drive away fear. He would always be in company of people. He would go to safest waters for water sports or for water activities like boating or swimming or fishing. But he was not able to get rid of fear. Finally, when he was tired of his fear, finally when he realized that this fear was badly affecting his life, one year in the month of October, he decided to get an instructor. Instructor means a trainer, to teach him swimming. Now why did he decide to get an instructor? So that the instructor would use his skills and strategies to teach him swimming safely, all the time giving him company, teaching him skills on how to get over the fear of water. So the instructor would give him practice 1 hour each day. See, I used every way I knew to overcome his fear, but it held me firmly in its grip. The fear would not go away. So 1 October, he decided to get an instructor and he decided to learn to swim. He went to a pool and with the help of instructor, he was given practice 5 days a week, an hour each day. So the instructor gave him training in swimming 5 days a week, 1 hour each day. Now, how did the instructor help him? This is a big question. A boy who is afraid of water, who dreads water, how did the instructor help him to get over the fear of water? So the instructor put a belt around his waist. What did the trainer do? He used a belt and he put it around the waist of the boy, and there was a rope that was attached to the belt. So around the waist there was a belt. To the belt there was a rope attached. This rope went through a pulley and that ran on an overhead cable. So the boy was in water. There was a belt around his waist. To the belt there was a rope. The rope went upward and there was an overhead cable. Overhead cable, just like we have electricity cables. So there was an overhead cable, a kind of wire, and that wire had a pulley in it. Pulley, all of us have seen it. It's there on the wells. When people go to well to draw water, there's a round thing like a wheel on which rope is attached. So this rope was attached to the pulley and this pulley would move on the overhead cable. So there was no, and the other end of the rope was in the hand of the instructor. So the instructor could loosen the rope, he could leave the rope loose, or he could tighten it. So the instructor held the other end of the rope and the boy went back and forth across the pool hour after hour, day after day, week after week. So it took him many days, many weeks just to go back and forth in the pool. Back and forth in the pool means he would go in one direction and then he would come back, just to feel at ease, just to feel comfortable in water. On each trip when he went across the pool, there was small fear that would come back. The fear would seize his mind, overpower his mind, and every time he went under the pool, every time the instructor would loosen the rope, the old terror would come back. His legs would start freezing, and it took completely 3 months. The author says that it took him completely 3 months just to ease the tension and to make him comfortable in water. So it took him 3 months time only to feel comfortable in water, to make his tension go away. The next step the instructor used to put his face under water and exhale. So 3 months he taught him just going back, 3 months the instructor used tactics to just teach him go forth and come back in the pool. After this, when he felt relaxed, when his tension had gone a little bit, then he taught the narrator to put his face under water and exhale, and to come out of water and inhale. This is the tactic that's followed by all swimmers, all people who go into water sports, that when they go inside water they have to breathe out or exhale, and when they come out of water, when their nose and mouth is out of water, they have to inhale or breathe in. This exercise was repeated by him under the training of the instructor hundreds of times, and bit by bit means little by little, he shed part of the panic that seized him when his head went underwater. So when he repeated this exercise hundreds of times, little by little, the fear, the panic that would overpower his mind, that would make him weak, it slowly went away. And after rigorous exercise, after repeated exercise like this, slowly he shed off the fear of putting his head underwater. Next, what did the instructor do? Third step. This is a question that would be of 6 marks. How did the instructor build a swimmer in Douglas? So he used a belt, he used a rope, he used a pulley, he used an overhead cable. He taught him to go forth and come back in the pool for 3 months. Then he taught him to put his face under water, exhale, come out of water and inhale. And then the third step, the instructor held him at the side of the pool and kick his legs. He didn't take him to the middle of the pool and kick his legs, because he knew that the boy would be terrified. So he took him at the side of the pool and made him kick his legs. Kick his legs means move his legs underwater. For many weeks the boy just did that, and in the beginning his legs would refuse to obey his command. they would get frozen, they would get rigid, they would get paralyzed. It seemed as if his limbs, that is his hands and legs, they did not obey the command of his brain. But gradually, they got relaxed. They got relaxed, and finally he was able to instruct, he was able to command his legs to kick, to move as per his desire. So this is the third step that the instructor used for teaching him swimming. So the narrator says, piece by piece, the instructor, the trainer, built a swimmer in Douglas. And when each piece had been perfected, he put them together into an integrated whole, just like assembling of a motor vehicle. How are cars made? How are cycles made? How are motorbikes made? Pieces are built and they are assembled into an integrated whole, thus making the machine workable. So piece by piece, the trainer, the instructor, he built a swimmer in Douglas by training him step by step swimming. And finally, when each step had been perfected, he put them together and he built an integrated good swimmer into Douglas. So when had he started his training? In the month of October. Now in the month of April, how many months it is? 3 months of 1 year and 4 months of another year. So it's more than 6 months or around 6 months. So in April, the instructor said, now you can swim. Dive off and swim the length of the pool. Crawl stroke. So in the month of April, when the trainer felt that the boy was perfect, that the boy had become a good swimmer, now there was no fear. So he allowed the boy to swim, to dive into the pool and swim the whole length of the pool in crawl stroke. Crawl stroke, as just like crocodiles, just like lizards, reptiles, the way they crawl, the way they move is known as crawling. So he was asked, there are different strokes in swimming, different positions in which swimmers swim, they are known as strokes. So he was asked by the instructor to swim crawl stroke after diving into the pool, the same pool in which he was learning. I did. The author says that he did. He was able to successfully swim the whole length of the pool without any fear, without any failure. The instructor was finished. The instructor was finished means the instructor's work was over. The instructor was finished. The instructor's work was over. Now comes another question. The narrator says that when in April the trainer thought that his swimming exercise, his swimming lessons had finished, what did the narrator do? The narrator swam as per the instructions of the trainer, but he did not feel finished. He did not feel finished means he still thought that enough work was left for him to do. Why was he not finished? Because he still wondered, he still thought that when he would be alone in the pool, when the instructor would not be with him, the fear would again return. So the same happened. Tiny vestiges of old terror would return. So when the trainer was not there, the fear would return in small quantities, tiny vestiges, small leftover quantities of terror or fear was still there. And when he was alone, he felt the fear would return. But now he would be confident, he would be determined, he would grin in front of fear. He would say, Mr. Terror, are you trying to scare me? No, I wouldn't be frightened now. And again he would go and swim the whole length of the pool. So in that pool he practiced again and again all alone to get over the fear of water. Now there was another challenge. This training, self-training in the same pool went on from April to July. That means again for next 3 months. But still the boy was not satisfied. He was not sure that all the terror had left. So he decided to go into other waters, other lakes, other rivers, other islands to drive off his fear. So this is what was there at page number 28. The instructor built a swimmer in Douglas piece by piece, step by step. When he found that the boy's body had become flexible, he could relax his limbs, he could command his legs and limbs to do whatever he wanted. The instructor thought that his lessons had finished, his training schedule had finished, so he asked him to dive into the pool and swim the whole length in a crawl stroke. This is called a crawl stroke. Now some question and answers for this part, page number 27 and 28. How did the instructor turn Douglas into a swimmer? Just now I told you that the instructor made him practice swimming step by step. First step, going forth and back into the pool for almost 3 months. Then second step was going underwater and exhaling, coming out and inhaling. Third step made him kick into water. This also went on for weeks and weeks. So in about 6 months, the instructor perfected each piece, put them together and integrated them into a complete whole. Thus, he built a perfect swimmer in Douglas. This is the first question. Second question, what efforts were made by Douglas to overcome his fear of water? So first he tried it by going for fishing, boating, canoeing, rafting with his friends in some company, but the fear would return. Finally, when he came to realize that his fear had become a handicap for his whole life, his life would never become normal with this, he would never be able to enjoy any kind of water activity or water sport, he decided to engage an instructor, and in around 1 year's time he was able to overcome his fear of water. You will have to include points like determination, persistence, confidence, perseverance. All these qualities, all these values, they were used by the author to overcome his fear of water. Third question, how did the experience of Douglas at the YMCA swimming pool affect his life? So since he had almost experienced death, he had seen death at very close. Yes, he would shake, he would tremble, he would cry. He couldn't eat for many days. Haunting fear followed him. Yes, slightest exertion, strain, tension, it would upset his stomach. It would upset him mentally as well as physically. And for many years, he never went near water. He tried to avoid water when he could. So this is all for today's video lesson, children. Keep on studying, keep on learning, read the first 4 pages nicely. Try to frame as many questions as you can, and in the next video lesson I'll deal with the last page of the lesson, and then we'll be able to complete this chapter. Thank you all.